Khazad-Dum.
I take it back. Sounds stupid.
So I'll be the host for tonight's game this evening, and my two wonderful co-hosts, David and Jeremy, will be playing, and they will be taking turns guessing one at a time to fill out a top 10 list. And it's 3 strikes and you're out. And we can expand the list to 15 if necessary. I will flip a coin. Dave, call it in the air, and whatever it is land on, you can choose first or second if you win. Ready? Heads or tails?
Red. Oh, heads.
It is heads. Would you like to go first or second?
Let me go first. What we got?
Wait, are you guessing? Are we guessing for accuracy, or are we just creating a top 10 list? Like,
No accuracy. So we have the top 10 highest grossing film franchises of all time.
oh, I want to Google it so bad, but no Googling.
Oh, I'm
Hands.
assuming, yeah, Google's out of the...
No,
Okay,
don't
obviously.
Google
Show your
it.
hands.
Look up the answer.
Who can find it first?
So let's kick things off. Dave, you got a guess for your top 10?
Top 10 movie, highest
Film
grossing movie
franchise.
franchises.
Films.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
There's a few obvious ones.
yeah, I mean, I will start off with, is it all Marvel, or would it just be Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Marvel,
and then
Marvel
All right.
Cinematic Universe.
Well, I guess I'll ruin the fun. Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And
All
that
right,
would be the first place.
Yeah.
Is Marvel Cinematic
That's number
Universe
one.
at 31 billion.
Let's get the easy ones out of the way. I'll go Star Wars.
Star Wars is number 3 at 10.3 billion.
Wow, I'm surprised there's a second place.
Star Wars. Okay, we'll go with Avatar. There's only
Wrong.
2 of those, you idiot. What the hell?
Avatar is number 14, and it is at 5.2
How
billion.
embarrassing.
I will go with Harry Potter.
Harry Potter is number 4, 9.6
Okay.
billion.
All right, Lord of the Rings. Can't believe that wasn't my second pick. That's disgusting.
Wrong again. It is
Oh!
number 11.
Counting The Hobbit?
Yeah.
We're keeping
What?
score, right?
5.96 billion.
There's 6 movies.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, Dave's got 2 strikes.
Avatar was so bad. Like, I don't...
No, I don't blame you. I wanted to say it because of
There's
they
only
have,
2
like, the-
movies, though.
There's only 2 movies. Oh,
One,
yeah.
5 billion for 2 movies is
But
crazy.
I'd be lying if I didn't say Avatar was something I was going to say. I'm going to go with The Terminator.
Oh.
The Terminator is not on this list at all. That is
Okay.
wrong.
Is it above Avatar at least, please?
No, it's not. It's not.
No!
Okay, Mission Impossible.
No.
There's 7 movies! What are they
Damn,
doing?
dude. What the hell?
It's at number 16 at 4.14 billion.
Does the series count? I mean,
No,
how-
just films. You got Dave. Dave got 3 strikes, but you guys can keep going.
There's 7 movies! What?
So just think. It was just the MCU. You
Yeah.
chose.
Yeah, there's another. Yeah.
Um,
I'll wait till JD at least gets 3 strikes before I continue. He's only got 1, right?
Yeah.
oh my god, dude! How is this
There's
not
1 main one, yeah.
You're thinking that you're missing some pretty.
Oh wait,
obvious
it's no.
ones.
Well, does Pixar count or no? It's not. Like,
No, Pixar doesn't
No,
count.
that's a
it's
studio.
company.
oh, that's
Yeah.
a studio.
Or company, yeah.
Obvious ones. God. Fuck.
But there is
Friday the 13th. They got like 14 movies out.
No,
those
that is
things
not
gross
on the
like
list.
those
I'm
things
just
gross
going-
like 30 million.
I'm going for volume, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I can't talk. I'm already out.
Okay, one more guess, JD.
No, let Dave go again.
No, you can go one more time.
I
You
don't
got
even
one more
know.
guess at least. You got one more guess at least, and I'll go.
Phone a friend, David.
Well, we didn't say anything about DC yet, so I would imagine the DC EU.
I'm surprised we didn't do DC. Yeah, fine, I'll do DC. They had.
That is
There's-
number 8,
Okay,
7.1
I was gonna
billion.
say I don't think you have the numbers right if that's not on there.
All right, that takes a strike away from David. He answered it for me. He's got 2 strikes now. He could answer next time.
There you go.
So now it's
Okay.
David's turn. What do you
Okay,
got,
here we
Dave?
go. We're back. We make the rules on the fly here.
Okay. God, I don't know. I felt confident with I guess, Fast and the Furious has like 11 movies, so we'll go with Fast and the
Oh, they're
Furious.
bangers too.
That
Box
is number
office
7.
bangers.
That's
Okay.
7 billion. 7.3.
Have we got number 2 yet? Obviously, don't say it.
Nope.
But have
There's
we got
2,
Okay.
5, 6, 9, and 10.
Wow. Okay.
What the hell? Toy Story?
Okay. It's a good one. It's a good one.
No, surprisingly, it is not on the
Oh.
list. Probably because the first one didn't make. Oh, it was 99 still, or no, 90s, 96.
Okay.
Oh, I got one.
Rocky. The Rocky franchise.
Rocky is not on here.
Tripping, dude. There's still only like 5
There's
of
like
those.
there's 5 Rockies
it's
and there's
so
3
funny that-
Creeds.
That's
So
true.
there's 8 movies.
All right, Transformers.
There you go.
That's number 13.
Oh my god!
Hell. Number
Rigged.
2. Wait, we still don't have number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not. I'm thinking of one that I was gonna throw out. There's no way it's number 2 though, so I'm not gonna drop that. Hold on.
How do you beat Star Wars? What is a
Pissing me
franchise
off.
more profitable than
It's
Star
barely
Wars?
above it.
Okay. Hold on. Oh my gosh, bro, this is painful.
Star Wars has had like 12 movies and they're all pretty good at the box office.
Right.
Okay.
Really
so
good at
that
the box office.
Can I? Well, okay. Spider-Man.
That's
Does that
number
count?
2.
Oh, that
That's
does
number 2.
count. I wouldn't
So
have
part
even
of the
thought.
part of the MCU films from that count for Spider-Man 2
I'm
though,
not
so there's
sure
kind of an overlapping.
because it's Sony maybe, but it still has the Amazing Spider-Man and the 3 Tobey Maguires.
Okay, but it doesn't have Tom Holland still, because
Well,
I mean,
10
Across the
billion.
Spider-Verse.
Oh, and
Beyond-
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, there's
those
2
ones too.
that were both like $billion. Okay.
Yeah,
So it was number 2 though, was Spider-Man.
that's number 2.
All right, we got that. All right, JD, you got any
So-
other things that you're thinking of?
Can I say Batman if it was outside of it or it was all
Yeah.
WB? Okay,
No,
good.
Batman. You only
Okay,
said
good.
the DC.
Oh,
it was
see,
the
I
DC
w-
extended universe.
Okay.
So Batman, you
That
have
opens up.
Okay.
Dark Knight,
Dark
everything
Knight.
from the
Alright.
90s.
The Batman.
That's number 9. So there's 5, 6, and 10. I'll say one is a superhero franchise. The others are not.
Superman.
No.
I
Hulk.
don't think.
He just had a couple movies.
Well, we can't be like, it can't be the Avengers, right? We already said the MCU.
No.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to.
It's
You know, it's not going to be 5 or 6, but is Jurassic Park in the top 15?
Oh, duh.
Jurassic Park is number 10.
Oh, what do you know?
Good
I
call.
didn't think
6
it would
billion.
have, because they
Good
didn't do
call.
that good.
So there's 2 more. One hero.
Okay.
One
Animated.
no. Secret Agent.
Oh, X-Men.
Oh,
X-Men,
James
yep.
Bond.
X-Men and James Bond are the last 2 at 6
Okay.
and 5.
Interesting.
Good game. That was way
That was
harder
fun.
than I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was going to be
Wow.
easier too.
Wow. Wild.
We kind of got
Mission
thrown
Impossible,
off with
step
the
it up.
MCU and the separation
Yeah, that
of
was kind of confusing.
DCU, all that shit. But Jurassic Park, I cannot believe we didn't answer sooner.
I don't know who
That was
won.
one of the first thing, but I just figured it's probably not top 10. But son of a gun. Huh?
Dave got 3 strikes. He got a strike removed. Then he put a strike back on. I think JD had 4 strikes. So but we finished the
No,
list in the end.
JD won. I struck out first, so
That's
that's all there is to it. And then we continued.
Yeah, I
so.
threw out like 5 strikes in the middle of that, though. So.
That was fun, though. That was a good game.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon sometime with another top 10 list of.
It's such an attractive outside of the box thinking with Mount Rushmores and the desert islands. It's so good.
I know, right? Look at me.
This guy on salary.
It's okay.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Why So Sidious a Nerd podcast. Joining me today are my co-hosts Jeremy Dar and David Cochran. And today we are covering The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, episodes 6 and 7. And don't forget to check out some of our other episodes. We have our coverage of episode 5 of this same show, and our coverage of the Penguin premiere, which we'll be continuing to cover throughout the whole season, and our Week in Geek, just live on YouTube. Check it out. If you're watching us live on YouTube right now, maybe you're over there watching Geek before, so thank you for being here. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Why So Sidious Pod on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. Always posting fresh content daily. And this is your official spoiler warning for The Rings of Power, episode 6 and 7. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and do so. And come on back. So I'll do a quick summary for episode 6. Celebrimbor is struggling to create the rings for men while the orcs get ready to storm his city. But Sauron steps up as the leader while he works tirelessly on the rings of power and even supplies a shipment of mithril untarnished and pure. Adar and Galadriel discuss their similar past with Sauron, which leads to her realizing they've fallen into a trap. King Durin is bringing in the cash flow and refusing the elves till he gets a more lucrative offer. Disa has had enough and decides to stand up for the good of Khazad-Dum. In Numenor, Elendil, is about to pay for his crimes until his champion Queen Muriel steps up in the judgment of the Valar. And our boy Gandalf is out here looking for his staff. So, overall, pretty solid episode. Kind of disappointed in the way that I thought they really teased the Battle of Eregion in episode 5 and then drew it out for another one, but we got it in the next one. What was your guys' quick overall thoughts on this, JD?
Episode 6? Wasn't my favorite. It was not bad at all. You know, I loved the ending with Sauron. Like, it had me, even before episode 7, which he really gets elevated, it had me thinking like we're in the process of seeing one of the greatest villains of all time actually be his story being panned out, as opposed to the original trilogy where he's just a presence. He's not there. He doesn't have boots on the ground. We don't even really see him except for the flashback, and he was already such an amazing villain. But then you have this, and like the way he's manipulating events and how his whole story is progressing, it's like, dude, we are seeing actually Sauron do the most dope villain stuff, and it got me so excited. And then you got over there in Numenor, it's still starting to feel really Game of Thronesy. That side of the story is getting way better, where I just couldn't stand it in the first few episodes, and now it's getting really intriguing. So a lot of great stuff. It's a middle of the ground episode for me, but solid.
Dave?
Yeah, I was obviously a little disappointed. The next on scenes made it look like we were getting the battle in episode 6. I was talking about it pretty confidently that can't wait for the battle next week in episode 6. And it didn't happen. It started, but we didn't get it. So that was a disappointment, but I really enjoyed this episode. If I didn't have that expectation of the battle, I think this was probably my favorite episode of the season. It's just like JD said, dude, the Anatar/Sauron scenes were incredible in this episode. I mean, they were chef's kiss. Like the transition scenes, which we'll get into more detail, obviously, but he killed it. Charlie Vickers killed it as Sauron in this episode. So I loved that. I agree. I think they're really elevating the Numenor storyline. So all in all, I thought just the entire aspect of Anatar and Celebrimbor was done really well in this episode, and I enjoyed it.
Well, let's get into it then. Celebrimbor is failing to make the rings for men. He's getting pretty frustrated, and he gets called out, and he forgets Merdania's name. So I don't know if he's having some like Alzheimer's here, if he's being messed with Sauron, like we find out. But I think they did a good job of kind of keeping it a mystery at first. And is that a new look for Anatar with the like black feathered? It looks super Sauron-esque, and it's clean as hell.
Yeah, he saw the Blackfish in season 4 of Game of Thrones. It was like,
Yeah.
ooh. All right, yeah, that guy's got a dope little outfit there. Yeah, it feels like it's a symbolic. It's like the black armor of Sauron is slowly coming out as he gets more and more into this illusion and this manipulation. Yeah, but it looks clean. Costume design solid.
But Celebrimbor will not rest until the 9 are done. Nothing else matters. And there's the audience outside. There's problems in the city, and we see the guy. It says he has something carved into his chest. Someone says, "Bury him."
Where is he?
And the other, and then I think Anatar says, "Where is he?" So, a little confusing there, but we'll see what happens. I think that was just like one of the orcs did that, obviously.
Yeah, I think it was Adar sending
yeah.
in like, "Where the hell is Sauron? We know he's in here," kind of deal, I guess. That was fine.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, weird. And then Celebrimbor's sketching the rings, and he like starts to hear the siege alarm going outside, and then like Sauron walks in, and he's like, "No, you belong in here. You need to stay in here." And that's when it's kind of, I'm starting to be like, okay, like he's in some sort of dream state where he's trapped inside of this. There's like a little force field around it, and everything is just going so well for him. Like he's a little happy in there in his little,
Dude, kind of happy, kind of losing his freaking mind, but
with the mouse.
Yeah, which that was interesting.
That was.
Dude, I loved it though. So this whole thing with Sauron and Celebrimbor was done masterfully. I honestly think this was the best the show has been written up to this point. The manipulation and seeing Celebrimbor's mind breaking, and partially knowing it's breaking, but still the manipulation is so strong that even though he knows it's breaking and maybe being manipulated, he continues still. Like he's getting more suspicious of it, but it's still working. Sauron at one point gives him Feanor's hammer, which was a cool little Easter egg there for him to create the rings with, and because that's when Celebrimbor is kind of starting to break out of this little trance, and then he gets him back with Feanor's hammer. Dude, the sequence where the siege starts and he's got Celebrimbor tricked that it's daylight, and he comes out into the city and he sees everybody's happy, and he's like, oh. Okay, and he leads him back in, and he goes, yeah, here, go back to your work. And then he strolls out, and we get the transition scene from daylight to darkness as Sauron raises his arms and chaos ensues. Bro, that was beautiful. That sequence was awesome. So that alone elevated this episode so much for me. They just killed it with Sauron in this episode.
It was kind of a Fortnite emote he did when he put his arms up. I love the shot.
The Night King.
Yeah. I love the shot, though, how it goes, it wide pans out, and then it's like the non-stop shot over to the orcs.
Dude, oh, I love that.
And the new shipment of Mithril, and he says, this work will be put in the Silmarils, which was interesting to say that kind of. I feel like he's almost breaking the fourth wall talking about the book.
Yeah, the Easter egg.
But no, that's like the creation of the whole.
Right.
Yeah.
The 3 Silmarils is, yeah. But that was one thing. They ran out of Mithril, but they didn't realize it until they were out. Like, who the hell's in charge of freaking
stocking?
Yeah, who's running inventory for you guys? Like, oh, by the way, we're out. Like, maybe, hey, when we're running low, let's let them know so we can re-up the Mithril. But as not so elvish.
No.
Dude, the mouse scene was so sick. Like, that's kind of what we were talking about with the Knives Out. We want Batman to be that kind of detective. That was a really cleverly written way to deduce that Anatar is messing with his mind. I thought that was so cleverly written. So that was awesome.
Truman Show-esque.
It's on like a repeat, huh?
Yeah, it was a loop.
Like, wait.
It was a Truman Show loop, like Truman sees in the car where he goes, there's a bike that's going to go by, there's going to be a broken fender, and it was exactly like that.
And in Speed, I think it was, when the villain notices the video of that old lady in the bus and her purse kept appearing and then disappearing. Same thing, like a glitch.
Yeah. Speed, what a reference. Yeah.
I know, super weird.
Yeah, he noticed the candle didn't burn too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, look at this thing. It's been burning this whole time. It hasn't melted.
Got lazy Sauron.
And then Anatar, like when he tricks Celebrimbor and everything's peaceful and happy, and then when he shuts the door and everything transitions to just war and darkness and fear, and Anatar's walking away and he's got such a deceitful like smirk on his face. I was like, oh, this dude is becoming a legend. This is so sick.
That's so good.
Yeah, Charlie Vickers has killed it. He really has stepped into this role.
Bring him to the DCU.
Keep your hands off him. Keep your dirty little hands off him, James. Anatar says, your rings of power, they'll be deemed the most precious creations on Middle-earth. And he does do a good job with that manipulating that we're talking about of getting Celebrimbor back on the wagon. Because, he's noticing all this. And he's like, hey, this is bigger than the both of us. You need to get this done for the greater good. And Celebrimbor's like, all right, I got you. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see Celebrimbor starting to get corrupted by the rings, because when they were talking about how the dwarves are late for the delivery, he was getting hella irritable towards the workers. So you could just see Sauron's influence working on even him.
Yeah, the corruption. Oh, and the forgetting the names. Yeah, Smeagol forgot his name eventually. So there's a lot of little consistencies with these rings of power corrupting, and there were some nice touches in there.
All right, we can move on to Adar and Galadriel. So Adar is describing Sauron's deception, and Galadriel's sitting there like, damn, all this happened to me too. Like, he gave us both what we desired, and it turned them against us. And then he brings out Morgoth's crown. He uses it to slay the power. He thinks the ring and the crown together can take him out forever, which...
Let's stretch.
Decent theory, but we'll see if it works. But he's kind of right. She does need to swallow her ego. Like he says, the drive to prove your virtue over orcs will be just what Sauron wants. Like, we do need to kind of team together against this common enemy, and I mean, I do understand the orcs' position in this whole series, or from Adar's orcs at least. Like, just give them a island somewhere, let them, do their thing over there, and they'll have a peace treaty of some sort.
Yeah, Adar came off a little different. Well, I guess that's more in episode 7 where he starts looking a little different. So I'll save
Yeah.
that take for that. Dude, the crown though. I thought the crown was a dope little thing. So I think what's gonna happen. I think this crown is gonna be involved with the creation of the One Ring. I think maybe that's what Sauron ends up using to forge the One Ring to get that ultimate power. It's got Morgoth's power in it, so maybe he melts it down and does a kind of alloy deal to create the One Ring with the power of that crown there. But I think that crown's definitely going to come into play going forward. But I liked it. Galadriel got played because Adar said we need a team together, and then straight up said, "Yeah, I got you, bitch." And then like continued his plan there, and Galadriel just fell for it. And then she's like, "Wait, no, Sauron's tricking you." Galadriel's broken though. Sauron tricked her last season, and now she doesn't know what to believe, to the point where Adar was able to fool her that easily and got her. Like, so I thought that was interesting. She's Sauron's deception, man. It's lasting. It's not just a temporary thing. That thing sticks with you.
Wasn't he wearing the crown in the flashback of Fellowship of the Ring? Or was that just his mask? Because it seemed like it might not have been a crown.
He's wearing a mask. Yeah, it looks similar, so I'm thinking maybe he just forges something to look similar to it if he does melt down Morgoth's crown. But it does look similar what he wears.
Yeah, I felt like it was part of his face as opposed to a crown.
Yeah.
Couple little story things I liked about that, like if Galadriel and the elves help him, is the High King Gil-galad gonna still go attack the orcs? Like what do you think? Would he still do that or what?
You would think probably.
Right.
Yeah, I would guess, yeah.
And then the whole Sauron manipulating everybody, like, dude, this is what he wants you to do. I like that whole story element. He's like, this is what he wants you to do. You're going to go attack Eregion because that's Sauron's plan, not yours.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
You think he cares about that city? You're literally just turning orcs and elves against each other more to create more chaos.
Right. And again, it's just cool. We keep saying all these different people that are all doing these things due to the manipulation of Sauron. So yet again, they're really, I think their writing has issues in certain places of this season, but I think they're really nailing it with Sauron aspect, which is arguably the most important aspect you got to nail. You got to nail the villain. You got to nail the iconic villain of Sauron if you're going to do a story with him. So I think they're at least doing that.
1000%. It's like what Star Wars should have been doing with Palpatine if they were going to stick in the same era. I think the villain is becoming so legendary in my mind, and I already liked him so much from the original trilogy.
Yeah, but it's just adding this new aspect that we've never, encountered before. So it's sick.
Now we could actually talk about him in a Nerd Octagon with more stuff to say instead of just like he's really powerful.
There you go.
Dr. Doom versus Sauron.
By the way, Sauron's helmet in Fellowship, the prequel, it is different than Morgoth's crown. Now, that could just be because it's a different project, but it does have different aspects to it.
All right. Do you want to move on to the dwarves of Khazad-Dum?
Do you?
So King Durin, he's raking in the gold. Anatar is there to meet Durin, and he needs the more mithril.
Oh.
And he says, he'll give him some timber or maybe something more precious. Looking at that ring, maybe you can get another one. I can help you out. And King Durin actually says no. And you're thinking, okay, like maybe he still is good. Maybe he's still a good guy. And he's like, no, like they're going to come back more desperate in a couple weeks. And then I'll get more shit from them and then I'll come help them. So
greedy.
And he's, Prince Durin's trying to get the ring off of him, and he says, "It belongs to me." And he says, "No, you belong to it." It was a great line.
Dude, it was tough. It was tough. The actor of Durin the Third, it was hard to watch him seeing his dad, like his heartbreak, seeing his dad not be his dad anymore, seeing that, oh no, he's gone. Like that is not him in there. So that he performed the scene really well there. My favorite aspect of that though was Sauron asks for the mithril. They deny him. It looks like he's going to protest, and then he has a vision of the Balrog in his mind, And he essentially, like, the way it came off was like he sees a Balrog in the caves and go, oh, you guys are screwed. It's just like, it's like, all right, never mind, that's fine, I'll leave. Like, good luck with the Balrog you're about to encounter. So that was a cool little flicker we got there.
I was surprised to see him turn Anatar down, but it was also weird that he was just offering like lumber. But the surprise of him turning him down kind of switched when he's like, yeah, they're just gonna come back and offer something greater, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it still sucks that father and son are just gonna get worse and worse. We keep saying it every episode, but they also did a great job at portraying like how all these kingdoms are crumbling throughout Middle Earth, and with Khazad-Dum as one, elves, they're starting their own little fighting, and
the men
it's all Sauron. The men are in shambles, but it's getting really like tense. Like you really feel like where this is going. Where we've seen the Fellowship, but seeing it happen, it feels really tense and kind of apocalyptic. But it is keeping me glued to the screen, big time.
Yes. Prince Durin has his Padme moment where he says, "I know there's still good in him," when they're talking to Disa. But Disa blocks the mind, and just starts yelling, and the bats come out. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I'm thinking, like, wait, can't they just like come back in 5 minutes when the bats clear out? Like, what's your next?
The bats
move?
are gone,
and they're just gonna go tell King Durin, and he's gonna get pissed. Like, it was a quick little move, but nothing substantial.
It was kind of goofy. Even the next episode, the king goes, "You need to go in there and dig." He goes, But Disa's still down there. It's like, you have an entire crew of dwarves. Why is she stopping you? That's funny.
Yikes. All right, let's go to Numenor. Like I talked about, Ned Stark here, and his daughter's talking about a sea worm coming. When she said that, I was like, oh, God, like, what kind of ritual are they doing here? Which it was not just a sea worm we come to see. And she's like, swallow your pride. And he says, if all you see is pride, then there are no words left to speak. Like, I'm not doing this because I'm prideful. I'm doing it because it's the right thing. And Muriel comes in to see him, and she kind of like tries to talk him off the ledge, where she's like, Numenor needs men like you to survive. And he still won't budge. He's like, nope, you are the rightful queen. I'm going to die for you. And then we get to that judgment of the judgment of the Valar. And Miriel comes, she's going to take his place. But if she dies, wouldn't he die too then after? Like, wouldn't that be his judgment? And then they both
trial by combat kind of deal. Yeah,
so
I think that's how that works. I don't know.
But she survives, and this is not a good sign from the gods for Pharazôn. So she is the prophesized chosen one. And that sea monster. What'd you guys think of that? Sea monster was massive. It was like a squid.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. I thought visuals and everything, it looked great. I thought it was a little anticlimactic how it just rolled up, and then because I was like, it's gonna leave her alone. It's not gonna eat her. So I feel like it was pretty predictable and pretty anticlimactic. But the beast itself and the VFX looked solid. But just would have liked something more out of it. But I will say, Elendil's dope. Lloyd Owen is freaking killing it in that role. I love how he's standing firm against it. So I'm enjoying every moment he rebels against that douchebag Pharazôn. So, yeah.
Yeah, very Game of Thronesy, right? It's just like Ned Stark.
Yeah.
And him's not claiming Joffrey as king. It's the same exact thing.
Till the end, yeah.
Right. And it's just like last episode. Like, that was a very Game of Thronesy scene when they walked in on them worshiping or doing their funeral and the death, all that stuff. So they're getting more Game of Thronesy there. That's cool. One thing I really liked in Numenor was, I mean, this is small, but I love the imagery of when Pharazôn's doing the crystal ball and the whole screen shatters. Yeah. Like, existence itself shatters into another reality and whatever perception that ball is bringing his mind into. I just thought that was really cool. And he sees death and destruction in Sauron. So that's... the roads are starting to converge there, and that's really what I want to see out of, especially Numenor, which they didn't have the most compelling story, until recently. And I'm glad it's getting compelling now, and it's also converging with, going towards the influence of Sauron.
Yeah. Yeah, that Palantir vision was pretty wild.
Yeah.
He's definitely getting a ring. Like, he's going to be one of the first men to get
Yeah.
it.
He better not be the Witch King, which I don't think he will be. He's from Numenor, and the Witch King is the Witch King of Angmar, which I don't know. They can always change certain things, but he's just such a douche. I would rather go to a more intimidating person who becomes the actual Witch King.
So when it comes to the men, we've only seen Numenor and the Southlands, right? Are there other areas? Of
Well, I think there's men in Rune, like the Easterlings.
men? Okay.
Those are technically men, although they're, there's the dark wizard and everything. I think
Okay.
they're the people that are there and wearing those masks. I think that's another aspect of men. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot.
All right, let's get to the stranger real quick before we move on to episode 7. He's really been put into the background this season, I feel like, but hey. He does get the vision of Nori, her, about to be in danger. We get a little poppy love story. Anyone down for that? Anyone down for that's going on right now? You guys like
What are
that?
we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And he goes to the dead forest or whatever this is to find a staff. So I don't know what's going on here. Like, I felt like they, like, at one point, I do like less of the stranger and less of Nori. But, like, I feel like they spent a lot of time in season 1 developing them. And they're almost just kind of like, yeah, it wasn't that cool. Let's just kind of kick it off to the side when it's like, maybe just do it better and make it more interesting if you're going to spend time with it.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with the Harfoots last season. Like, a lot of time with the Harfoots. All to seemingly just create a damsel in distress for the stranger to guide his plot. That's what it seems to be. The whole point is Nori becoming that little person that the stranger needs to save and defines his path and yada yada yada. Yeah, I mean, there's enough said about the love relationship plot point. God, who cares? Who told you that was a good idea? Stop showing me Harfoots. So I get they used a lot of time in season 1 to set him up, but I wouldn't mind if they just cut him out completely.
Like another meteor just takes them all out.
Yeah, dude, I don't care. Write it off. Somehow the Harfoots disappeared, and let's move on. I don't care. But it was interesting with Tom Bombadil. So we yet again get more Gandalf lines from the Fellowship of the Ring given to other characters. This time it's Tom Bombadil. The whole, some who die deserve life. Who are you to give it to them? That's a straight up Gandalf quote as he's talking to Frodo while he's talking about Gollum deserving to die. So that was kind of felt ham-fisted. And then Tom Bombadil saying your friend or your destiny seemed like a little too on the nose for something that Tom Bombadil would say if you actually know his character. Like, he's not that direct. It would be in song, and you would have to decipher what the hell he even meant. But he would never be like, you make this choice or that choice, and, this is going to happen. He was never that direct. I can tell you right now, though, he gives him that, don't go save Nori. The fate of Middle-earth relies on you. You can't waste your time saving Nori is essentially what Tom Bombadil says. And I can already tell you the stranger's going to go save Nori. It's going to end up being the actual thing that Tom did want him to do. So he'll pass the test and he'll find his staff in the stores, the other type of midgets with that tree in the middle of the thing. Oh, I can't say midget. The other halflings with the tree in their home. And the stranger's going to break off one of the branches and find his staff, and Tom's going to be like, you did it. So I don't have a lot of interest in that plot point. I feel like it's predictable and whatever.
Yeah. JD, you got anything on your boy Gandalf?
I didn't, nothing really stood out to me with Gandalf this time. It seemed like maybe a repeat. Just the same beats were hit from the previous episode with him and Tom Bombadil. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but nothing really happened.
It's a very slow-moving story for them this season. I feel like they've gone like 30 miles maybe, and they got trapped, and now they're split up.
Yeah, we have one episode left of the season. Like, think about that. Like, what's happening with them? I don't know.
Oh, wow. That's right.
Got hit by a tornado. That's about it.
Dude, they haven't done anything.
No, it's weird.
And there's been, I think, 2 episodes where they're like not in it at all, or just in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They're in for the long run here. This is going to take place over a couple seasons, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they're progressing with Sauron. That's like the most important part, and they're doing so good with it.
All right, let's move on to episode 7. So, quick summary. Throughout this episode, a battle rages outside Eregion, while inside Anatar pushes Celebrimbor to complete the rings. at the cost of the Elf Lord's reputation and sanity. So now we can see that Celebrimbor is in a total different reality. He looks at himself in the mirror, and it like flashes for a second, and he's like bloody with like soot and black all over his face, and it flashes back to normal. And he's like, well, that was kind of weird, but I guess I'll keep going. And it's cool to see the process, how he makes the rings, shows like the different equipment he's using, you know, shaping it, cutting it.
Yeah.
And he busted him out quick, but you do find out it's been weeks. So he's just been there for like 2-3 weeks just grinding these rings out. And Sauron comes in, he needs him now. But Celebrimbor is like, well, what's a few more days? Like, it's not like there's like orcs outside our walls right now. Like, we're in no rush. Everything's fine, you know? But as it pans out, the city is not doing well anymore. It's obviously being attacked with trebuchet, fireballs, and arrows, so you name it. I thought the CGI looked well, though. So Celebrimbor refuses to take a counterattack. His mind is gone, and we are alone, is what Anatar says to them. Like, he's lost his mind. He's in there just busting out these rings. And the siege engines turn around, damming the river, and just, you know, preparing for this battle. And Arendir pops up again. He did pop up for like 10 seconds.
He had a dope scene in episode 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Killed
what do you
3
think about
dudes.
this whole setup to the episode here?
Shit, I loved the episode. This is my favorite episode. It's like, I mean, it's super action-packed, mixed with Sauron doing the most villainous stuff, like flipping Celebrimbor's hand, and, you know, like as if he threw that lady off the ledge. That was wild. Everything with Sauron. It got slow with some of the Adar stuff. That's about it. But man, that was awesome. It feels like the progression of wars from Fellowship. You know, you had the equivalent of a battle with Season 1 and the Fellowship of the Ring as the final battles. But this is the Two Towers battle, it feels like. I mean, this is like all out trebuchets, and it's beautifully shot. Like when you see those big vast shots of the trebuchets launching the fireballs at them, even in the previous episode, in episode 6, that's how it ended anyway, but that seemed so epic and so Lord of the Rings. But everything was really cool. Even Elrond, like usually he annoys me. I didn't find anything annoying about Elrond in this episode, so thank God. He was really cool. Yeah, he was a great character. He was fine. You know, you got a freaking troll going in there, but yeah, I loved it. I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen.
Yeah, that's funny because this was like the first episode I had a couple scenes with Elrond where I was like, that was goofy.
I know they're coming. I know they're coming. The dwarves will come.
So the siege was, I got that. You're kind of traumatized at that point. The siege at the start was cool. I did like all the trebuchet launching, the wide shots. Those all looked beautiful. It was beautiful cinematography. I like the idea to dam the river by drilling those tops of the mountains and stuff. I don't know if that's possible, but I like the idea of it, and cinematically it worked. It looked great. So I really like that. But every shot of the actual soldiers up close, and this is just the first half of the episode. There was a point where it changed for me. But every shot just felt like, there's a bunch of extras running at each other. It didn't feel epic. It didn't feel on a grand scale of how I thought it should have. Like, they said the orcs outnumber them 10-1. Like, 10-1. They're insanely outnumbered. And it just, all the shots on the battlefield when the orcs were fighting in the first half of this episode, it just didn't feel, it just felt flat to me. It felt like, I'm watching extras right now. Kind of the choreography of the fights and the sword clashes and everything, they just looked super walked through. Like I was really disappointed at the start just because I was like, man, that should have felt epic. They had a whole charge of these orcs going through and the elves fighting back, and the volleys. The volleys looked like pathetic. Like we watch Helm's Deep and they're all synced up. It's insane. The elves line up these volleys. They're firing these arrows right past the ears of the people in front of them. And then these ones, we get these elves that are standing on the wall and they're like aiming slowly and letting loose like one arrow at a time, hella slowly at different times. It didn't seem synced. So that took me out of it at the start, where it was like that. I'm not getting a badass elves archer vibe from this. The choreography just didn't grab me. So I thought the cinematography of the wide shots looked great. Sauron was great in this episode, but the choreography of a lot of the fights pulled me out of it in this one.
I actually totally agree with all that. You know what we needed is like a couple heroes that we can get behind. Like Arendir should have been in there because in Two Towers, you had your like Legolas skateboarding down the stairs, shooting arrows, and you're right, they had the synced up shooting arrows like that. They were missing out on actual good action choreography. That's totally true. With Arendir should have been like in the heat of the battle instead of off to the side.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have anyone to follow as far as heroes action
Until Elrond
wise.
gets there.
And
Yeah,
that's
kind of
that's which I guess I can wait on that, but that's where it turned around for me. And maybe that's part of the solution is having that hero figure, because when we did halfway into the episode saw Elrond charging and we got the score rose and he's spinning around cutting through orcs, that was like, oh, okay, here we go, like, and now it's about halfway into the episode, but that got me back into it there. Yeah, I just thought the first few scenes was just a little disappointing.
Well, we do head over to Khazad-Dum real fast, and King Durin gets his second plea from the elves. But he just wants to dig more. He's more, worried about what's going on within his castle. But the workers stand with young Durin. Once they get down there, they're like, no, we ain't doing this. This is too dangerous. Like, we can't keep going. We'll see how that plays out. Oh, we do see how that plays out, actually, later. But Elrond shows up, and they've both been through some shit since they last met. Like, neither one of them had the greatest path since they split. And Elrond needs his axe to save Eregion.
That was dope.
So what do you got?
That was
What do you
dope,
think
that.
about this little Durin and Elrond interaction, Dave?
I mean, the "I need your axe, old friend" was like, that felt Lord of the Ringsy right there. I love that little line. It was great. I love Elrond and Durin. I love this dynamic between the two. So I was stoked to see them together real quick, and I was stoked to see Durin be like, yeah, we got you. Like, we're gonna do this, which made it even harder of what happened after that. But I like the whole fact that everybody in Khazad-Dum was like, yeah, we're with you. This guy's lost his mind. Because why wouldn't they think that? They're not possessed by the ring right now. So, yeah, I enjoyed the Khazad-Dum stuff.
What do you guys think of the speech that Durin gives his people?
It wasn't great. There were
Yeah.
a couple speeches in this episode, and neither of them landed. Speeches going on while there was action happening in the background kind of deal, or it was, changing scenery while it was doing the speech. And yeah, both speeches, they were just all right. It wasn't Tolkien-esque. It didn't feel epic like that. It didn't feel like King Theoden, like lining up the Rohirrim. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like it was presented to be such a badass speech. Like it starts in
Yes.
silence and he's like, "Warriors!" I was hoping you guys didn't come on here and be like, "God, dude, that Durin speech was so sick." I was gonna, because I thought it didn't really work, but
Fell flat for me, for sure.
All right, we'll go back to Eregion. And as we know, there's not a very large army defending the city. They have the advantage, though, up on the walls. And right as I was thinking, like, where's the commander telling them to take out the siege engine? Merdanya comes over and is like, hey, you guys need to take out that thing. It's about to get through the wall. So there's no general out there, like, directing them. They're just, like, shooting at whatever. So things aren't going well. They're not organized. And we get back into the smith with Celebrimbor. And this is where he realizes the candles haven't burned. And Anatar's like, you sought peace, I gave it to you. And then Celebrimbor says, who are you truly? And he's like, I am the one keeping the storm at bay, giving you this chance to prove your worth. I want the 9. And he's like about to lose his shit. And he's like losing his facade too, like really, Celebrimbor's about to find out. And I'm surprised he didn't die. When Celebrimbor got hit with that flying ball,
Which time?
Yeah,
Which
right?
time?
Yeah, dude.
He got drilled a couple times. He got knocked out multiple times in this episode, and then woke up after getting drilled by a
Arya?
trebuchet. It's like, dude, he can't. Yeah, that. Or what was the other movie where every scene? Oh, Aquaman, where there was like 10 different scenes where an explosion interrupted a conversation. That's
Oh,
kind of what it
yeah.
felt like with Celebrimbor getting drilled by. Dude, but the blood. Sauron's blood that
Mithril.
reveal. Yeah, so we find out that Sauron did not actually get Mithril from Khazad-Dum. He sliced his blood and poured his blood into the rings, which makes sense as to why the 9, not just... So I guess I'm hit and miss on that. It explains why the men are so corrupted, because it's Sauron's blood in those rings. Like, he straight up poured himself into those. But it also kind of conflicts with the storytelling of the reasoning why the men were so wicked was because the story point of men are so corruptible.
Yeah.
So now this kind of almost makes it not that it's men's fault. It's just that Sauron's blood is within these rings, which makes them that much more corruptible. So
Hey, good.
There's a little hesitation, but it's a unique story plot.
Yeah, get off our back about being men. God.
Yeah, right. It's the blood, you jerks.
Yeah.
But I did like it. That reveal, I thought that was really cool when I saw that. I was like, oh, dang, okay.
And Celebrimbor says, "You are he, are you not?" He says, "I have many names." And Celebrimbor runs out,
Loves
obviously,
that
after
line.
he sees the whole spell be dropped. He confronts Mordanya, and it sounds good at first, and then he starts to sound crazy, where he's like, "And the mouse, and the candles, and like," he's like, "Head over." Like, all right, you need to go back inside, old man. You've lost it.
What the mice, Mary? The mice. Named Mordanya.
And he says, "Seize him, he's Sauron." And they're like, "Okay, bro, like, you need to relax." And he's, blood black as pitch. And yeah, Sauron makes him yeeter off the wall. And
Dude,
he
that was
basically- where
wild.
He's like, "Finish the
Crazy.
9, and I will spare your city." So now he's like, "Oh, shit, I have to finish."
My jaw dropped when he tossed Mordanya off the walls. I was like, oh, like I didn't, and she was like still alive barely when she hit the floor. Like that was pretty brutal. Super cool that they use Sauron still manipulating Celebrimbor even now that he knows. Like his manipulation is so strong that he found him out and he's still gonna get him to do this.
Yeah.
Like so that was wild.
Oh, so the elves arrive. And I don't know what took them so long. I guess because they went the wrong direction first and they had to turn around and go back. Like, what happened when they went south? They just showed up down there and were like, "Oh, shit, no one's here. We gotta get the hell
I
back."
can't imagine they made it all the way. I
Okay.
think they had to have been convinced by Elrond showing up and telling Galadriel she was right that in that episode, and then they turned their forces around before.
And this is the point in the episode where I thought, "Where's Galadriel? We haven't seen her yet." And then the elves are coming headstrong, and I thought they were gonna unveil like a troll or something. I was like, "Wait, it's too small to
Same.
be a troll."
Yeah.
And it's just Galadriel. And they obviously go to like a little meeting. Adar wants the ring. He wants to see it. He says, Sauron is my enemy as well. Eregion is in the hands of the deceiver now. There's no point in trying to save it. You can't save Celebrimbor, but you can save Galadriel. So he's trying to make this offer where he gets that elven ring, like he was talking about in the last episode, to defeat Sauron.
Okay, I gotta ask. I mean, I don't know. The cinematography of the horses starting to charge was dope. Like it was beautiful, even though they started all charging at the same time, and a split second later, Elrond was about 100 feet in front of everybody else, forming a perfect flying V. That's fine. I don't care. The cinematography was great overhead. The cock tease of them charging in this epic, like, oh, here we go. Here comes the epic thing I've been waiting for in this episode, and they all just stop. They all just stop. And which, by the way, at that point, the orcs outnumber them 10-1. The cavalry just lost their advantage by charging. They're all standing still. Wouldn't the orcs just start slaughtering? I know Adar told them not to, and he wants to have a talk with Elrond. But that whole scene kind of annoyed me. I thought we were about to see an epic clash of the cavalry and everything, and then they just stopped. And then it happened. Elrond kissing Galadriel for some reason. You gotta force. I know, but
Yeah.
he didn't give it to her in his mouth. He could have just grabbed her hands and been like, I'm sorry, or hugged her or whatever. He grabbed her hands and then kissed her. I get it was kind of a sneak deal. I thought it was goofy as hell when they started kissing, but
I'll say it is kind of weird because they haven't been getting along as much late, but I ship it. I like that power couple.
by the way, she's got a husband who has not been mentioned for some reason. He's in the Fellowship of the Ring. He's the other blonde elf standing right next to her in the forest of... God, I forgot. I think his name is Celeborn. But she's got a husband, so I don't know if she just cheated on him or if he's dead in this reality, but... Yeah.
Well, it didn't work for me at all because they played into it with the music and everything as if it was a super romantic moment that's been building up for episodes.
Right.
It was just
That's
too
what
much.
happened. You're right. It did that uplifting, the score of the theme song started playing while they were kissing, as if
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, little.
Which,
little-
by the way, we didn't get an opening title in this episode. We rolled right into the battle. We didn't get the sand crawl and everything.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
And I'm surprised Adar just lets him go, and that was also kind of weird. Like, did the elves just like reposition around the orc army to be like defending the city, or did he just like walk back out
Right.
there and then they started fighting again? Like, a little weird, but we'll take
Yep.
it, I guess. And Adar doesn't know about the dwarves, so he does. There is
They're
a little
coming.
something in his back pocket. Yes, and we get the Durin hype speech, and this as he's doing the speech as Elrond is going Anakin. Just going fucking crazy on everyone. The catapult death was cool, but it also is like very PG-13, where he like slicks the orc in the catapult and then shoots it, and he flies like 200 feet and like bounces off the wall. Like,
Right.
shouldn't you just
Instead
like
of splatters.
splat into like nothing from that
Yeah.
distance and that speed? And this is where Adar kind of turns on the orcs a little bit, and he says, bring down the wall at any cost. And the orc says, Sire, we thought you loved us.
You told us you loved us, Adar. Oh my
And he says he loves them too much to let them become Sauron's slave, but not enough to risk your lives to win. So, there's that little middle ground. We're going to find it, okay? Some of you might die, but in the end, it's the good thing.
I had to physically pull my eyeballs back down because they rolled so far into the back of my head when he said, you told us you loved us from an orc. I had to physically bring them back so I could continue watching the show. But, I don't know, man. That part was rough. And the aspect about them all of a sudden being in front of the city. So that was another main problem with this episode for me, is the main episode was a battle, and it just felt like the showrunners didn't know how to write a battle very well. Like they kept being in totally different places. The horse charge, the choreography, the arrows being shot off. It all just felt like they didn't really know how to choreograph a massive battle very well, which is disappointing because this is a Lord of the Rings franchise. But this was the point where it picked up for me. Elrond's tearing through people. He's got the rage fight. He's killing people because somebody died right by him. Who was it?
One of his like generals, some other elf.
Yeah, and he just lost it, and he started going crazy. But also, dude got caught by an orc twice before he even landed his first strike. He faced off one-on-one against an orc, and he got caught multiple times before he landed a strike on the orc. And I was like, this dude's supposed to be like, I don't know. Yeah, I had issues with that, but it picked back. Oh, sorry. I guess maybe you're getting to it. I'll shut up.
Okay. Well, Galadriel breaks free,
There you go.
and I guess they can only smell Hobbit. They can't smell Elf as well as they can smell Hobbit. So, and you can see the blonde hair poking out through the fuck. This is like some Leia
Her
shit.
blonde hair is hanging out in this orc encampment. That was straight up Obi-Wan and Leia escaping the freaking Sith Inquisitorius. That was horrible. That was horrible. That was bad.
But there's an orc funeral pyre, and right as Galadriel's going to get caught, you see the arrows come in, which is of course Arendir's calling card. And he's on a suicide revenge mission, but Galadriel talks him off the ledge. I do like that saying, we need you with us, and the battle against Adar is still yet to come. Like, we need you around.
Yeah, that was good.
Back to Khazad-Dum real fast. King Durin turned his axe on his own men, which is crazy. And he says if Prince Durin leaves now, Khazad-Dum might not be here when you get back. So he's like, oh shit, like, I don't know if he can still help.
Yeah, it was tough.
So King Durin's totally off the rails. Sauron and Celebrimbor. Was he forced timing to see that conversation at Khazad-Dum? Because it seemed like it faded. The conversation between Prince Durin and the dwarf faded away, and it showed Sauron like looking off into the distance. So I don't know if he was like seeing his plan work, or that was just the way they shot
I don't
it.
know. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, maybe.
So, yeah, back to Celebrimbor and Sauron. All of our sufferings will be worth it. And he says, you're treating me like you treated countless others. And he's like, no, like Morgoth treated me. Like I was once you. But his end was different from mine. And he always talks about how he wants to perfect everything. He doesn't want to rule or take over. He wants everything to be perfect, which in his eyes is probably something we don't want.
Right.
And he does some more.
It was good though.
He does some more gaslighting, saying, it's all your fault too. Like you wanted to do this, which he kind of did.
He did.
You can even deceive yourself, and Sauron's in this like so deep into the lies he believes them now too. Where like he's like, no, like you wanted, like I'm not guilty in this. You're the bad guy too here.
You begged me to help you with these rings,
Yeah,
bro.
right.
Like, yeah, he's a manipulator.
He puts them in the fire. So I thought he was gonna try to like melt them here, but obviously nothing happens. He pulls them out and they're cold to the touch, like the one ring is as well. And he's getting out of the handcuff, which is wild when he basically decides to chop his thumb off.
Oh, that was forgot about that. Yeah, can't smith anymore. He just cut his thumb off.
Probably for the best, though. After this, you probably should stop. Okay, after
Bad
everything you
memories.
just done.
Take up fishing.
But those fireballs crashing in the background get me every time because I'm like looking at them and trying to project their trajectory to see if it's gonna like crash in right behind me. Be like, oh, and then it, like,
I thought of
crashes down
that
below.
too. Like if you're running on the walls and you're trying to run through the city and you're seeing these, it's so hard to tell. Like, do I need to move? Like, do I need to get
right.
back or forward? I don't know. Yeah, I thought about that. That'd be a trip as a soldier to have those things launching at you.
And then Celebrimbor's about to be taken away by Anatar's guards, but Galadriel comes up, and he's so messed up he thought she was an illusion to torment him at first. And she's like, "What did you do? What did you do?" And he's like,
Did you
"More
treat with
rings."
Hallbrand?
Yeah, I treated with Hallbrand. He's like, "I made 9 more." He didn't mention the 7 about the dwarf, only the 9. He's like, "I'm not ready to talk about that yet."
It's like I did crack
Oh.
8 more times.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. He made
She-
16 more rings since
Yeah.
she was there. He just said 9. Oh my god.
Dude, I was surprised she wasn't harsher. Like, dude, from the beginning, she said, "Don't talk to this guy." He just
Yeah.
made a bunch of rings with him.
I think she's so jacked up and she knows he's been here alone that as soon as
Yeah.
she saw him, she just felt pity. Like
Yeah,
at that
100%.
point, yeah. But
Missing his thumb.
told you. Yeah.
But Celebrimbor admits it. He says, "A part of me knew all along, but I wanted what he offered, so I blinded myself to what he was." And Galadriel says, "So did I. I did the same thing." And he says, "You take the rings. I'll stay behind to delay him." And it's funny, now the guards believe him. Now that Galadriel showed up, like, "Oh, yeah, so that is Sauron. We'll get your back now." So Galadriel's taking the rings. Celebrimbor, I don't know how much longer. I feel like Sauron might just next episode. Yeah, a little, yeah. For the audio audience, Dave just slit his throat.
Yeah, sorry.
But the light endures and is mightier than strength. In its presence, all darkness must flee. Pretty dope. Oh, Ryan. That is Elrond's homegirl's name. Ryan.
Oh, the one who got murked?
Yeah, or Rian.
Okay. Yeah.
They send the big
The
guy.
troll.
The
The hill
yeah.
troll.
The hill
yeah,
troll.
I've been waiting for this. This is the
Yeah.
last thing I wanted to talk about
Yeah.
for this episode.
We'll talk about it.
That was sick. I mean, I thought they nailed the troll thing. The orc's like, "Don't let him. He'll kill our own kind." And he goes, "Let him go." And he just starts stomping on orcs that are still alive. Just smashes one just for fun as he's coming through the wall. Like, and visually it looked great. I thought it looked amazing. I thought he got defeated a little too easily, mainly because Elrond cut that cable and it hit him in the gut so hard that he fell backwards, and then they pinned him to the ground and killed him. But so that was the only issue I had with it. Overall, though, I thought that was great. I thought the troll looked hella intimidating. The score rising as he stomped through the battleground. I thought that was sick.
Yeah, no, it felt very Lord of the Rings, right? I mean, that's just like the caves and Fellowship, so
Yep.
definitely fits for sure.
Yeah, it was dope.
And to wrap it up, Anatar is looking for the rings. Celebrimbor says, your hand will never touch a ring again. And then Sauron just makes all the guards kill each other, which was so sick to see. They turn their swords, turn toward each other, and then just kill. And then the last one tries to kill him. He just like force time fucking, like Anakin
Neo's
style
out of the
against a
way.
lightsaber. Yeah, slits his
That was
throat.
dope.
Yeah, so I think Celebrimbor's got to take the L here. Like maybe try and one last little sacrifice, something. I don't know though. I think
Cut his other thumb off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
So yeah, I definitely enjoyed episode 7 a lot. I think it was like a close to a 9 out of 10 for me. Episode 6 also very good. We got one more episode left in the season. We will be here to review it and also give our rating on the season. See if it beat House of the Dragon. What are you thinking now for House of the Dragon season 2 versus Rings?
Ooh, with that finale, man,
Penultimate.
I think, yeah. I mean, with the finale of House of the Dragon,
Not being
that
as-
brought my overall score down quite a bit. So we'll see. This one, I think, is going to be a much better finale. That's for sure.
right.
Oh, maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect, man. I think as a two-parter, that was a really solid entry, episode 6 and 7, because it was a two-parter. I mean, there was no intro for episode 7. It rolled right into it. I think my rating for I got to rewatch this, so I didn't get to rewatch it yet, but it's definitely not a 9 for me. It probably would have been like a high 7, low 8 for me. Just because, again, they lost me on the choreography and epicness on a lot of the stuff. But so I don't know what to expect for this finale. I wouldn't say it's locked in that it beats House of the Dragon season 2 yet. I think it's got to deliver in this finale. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm left a little, I don't know. I guess not entirely sold on this full season performance as a whole. So finale's got to land. We'll say that.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Hell yeah.
It's like
All
a
right, thanks
fan
for-
trying to start up.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for the guys out there guys and gals on YouTube for joining us, all the millions and millions of fans. We appreciate it. We will see you next time on Why So Sidious, a Nerd.